Hello, hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I was like, wait, am I recording? Whenever I am catching you. Please forgive my hair. I just got out of the shower. I wanted to do a little pep talk tonight. Tonight is Saturday night. I was thinking about what I wanted to do tonight, and I'm gonna do just hand sounds. I can't help myself. I always do at least some hand sounds in every video, but I don't know that I've ever done a video that is like just exclusively hand sounds. So I thought I would do that. I want to do exclusively hand sounds, and I want to talk to you about something that I've talked a little bit about before on this. I've made a video about this before, but I thought I would bring it back up and share my own experiences about how I think about this. And the topic for tonight's little pep talk is the idea of finding the gift in all of the moments in your life. And I was reminded of this because I was listening to something on YouTube earlier, and they referenced the quote that we've all heard before, and it's attributed to Winston Churchill, and the quote is, "If you're going through hell, keep going." And he was talking about how, life is a series of valleys and mountains, highs and lows, and you just have to keep going. You just always keep going. And then this is relevant. The story that I have told on here that was trending a bunch on TikTok, several months ago, was this, I think it's a Chinese parable. I'll tell it again, but essentially it's the same lesson. But so how it goes is a farmer. Oh my gosh, I didn't think about it before I started talking. Do I remember? A farmer and his son are working, and their horse runs away. Their horse breaks out of the enclosure, runs away. And all the villagers are like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. That's so unlucky. I'm so sorry. That's so unfortunate. We're so sorry to hear that." And this farmer, he goes, "Well, I don't know if it's lucky or unlucky, we'll see." And then a couple days later, the horse returns, but not only does it return, it comes back with some other wild horses. So now suddenly they have 4 horses, and everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, you're so lucky. That's incredible. You're so lucky. Now you have all these horses. You can make so much more money, more crops, etc." He's like, "Well, I don't know. We'll see. I don't know if it's lucky or not. So we'll see." And so then a couple days later, his son is trying to break in and train the new horses, and he gets bucked, and he is bucked off of the horse, breaks his leg. Everyone is like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. That's so unlucky. I'm so sorry to hear this." And he says, "Well, I don't know if it's unlucky. I don't know if it's lucky or unlucky. We'll see." So then, a couple days later, the army comes through, and they are drafting all able-bodied young men. And of course, his son has broken leg, so they're like, "Oh my gosh, you're so lucky that your son avoided the draft." And he goes, "I don't know if it's lucky or not. We'll see." And so obviously the parable, it's the same kind of story, life has its ups and downs. I don't know. I've always liked to think of it, or I've read or heard somewhere, life is a pendulum. Life is a pendulum, and it always swings the other way, and you just have to be patient. But what I wanted to really drill down into was the idea of learning how to find the gifts in the moments that you are in. The fridge just kind of came to life. I hope it's not too loud. I also can hear that someone is upstairs. I like to film these at night when my parents go to bed, so it's nice and quiet. I hope it didn't pick up. But anyway, so I was thinking about this year. This year has been kind of wild for me. And you know, the first kind of big obvious thing that happened this year was my mom got sick, and that is very, very obviously not something that anyone wishes for their life, for anyone. But the reality is, this is the hand we were dealt, you know. And I had this realization the other day that was like kind of crazy to think about. I realized I don't think I've ever clocked this many hours with my parents, literally ever, because of the situation. Now she's much more stable now. She's doing much better now. She's doing much better now, but so I don't have to like watch her like a hawk, but in the first few weeks, you know, she was very weak, she was very wobbly. I still monitor her sugar, and I help with a bunch of things. I still help with a bunch of things that she needs my support for throughout the day, but she's a lot more stable now than she was. And so for the first several weeks, I realized, and I didn't even think about this, but I realized I was nearby. I was like for even just the fact that I do everything down here right now is just so, during the day I'm nearby in case she needs help, in case she needs something. Otherwise, normally when I come home, I do stuff in my room. But the fact that, because of her situation, I was physically near her, non-stop for like almost a month. And I had this realization, like, I don't think I've ever spent this much time with my parents, literally ever. I'm an adult, but even as a small child, you know, when I lived here, I went to school, you know, when you're a kid. Yeah, I lived at home, but I went to school every single day. They went to work, so it's like, a vacation. How long is a vacation? A week? 2 weeks? Even summers. You know, I would go to camps, I would do stuff with my friends. Never in my life have I spent, I was here for most of March, and then I came back. I went to LA for a bit, and then I came back the end of April. I've been here a lot. Never in my life have I clocked this many hours with my parents, and, you know, again, obviously, I wish she never got sick. But what a gift that has been. Sorry, that chair was a little squeaky. I mentioned this before too, but in the job that I had most recently, we did this training on positive intelligence, and that was one of the things that they talked about a lot. It's like the ability, training your mind and learning how to always find the gift in all of the situations that will come up in life, because like that is inevitable, right? That is an undeniable reality. Oh, sorry. I forgot. I gotta change the settings of the thing again where it went to sleep. But I know now. I can just keep going. I know you're still there. So anyway, so that was one thing we talked about a lot. It was like training your brain and learning to find the gift in all of the situations, because life is undeniable. There are going to be difficult things that come up in every human's life. Like, that is the burden of existence, is that you will have challenging things come up. And that is undeniable. But what you can do is learn how to be flexible, learn how to expand your brain to look for the gifts. So I was thinking about that, and that's what an incredible gift that is, you know. And not to get like, I don't want to get sad about this, but there's this website. It's Wait But Why. I always confuse this with the NPR Wait Don't Tell Me, right? I think that's what it's called. Anyway, Wait But Why. They do Tim Urban. He hasn't done it in a long, I think it's retired now, but he used to do these like really insightful, thoughtful sort of these articles, and I loved his writing. He did a TED Talk on procrastination. So good. I'm a terrible procrastinator. It was a really good TED Talk. You should check it out. So, anyway, he does a lot of he has a lot of great articles, but the one that there's one that I really liked on time, and this like changed my brain chemistry. He talks about how, you know, time is a finite resource, and we don't always recognize that, or we don't always think about that. And this was in the context of, like, he was talking about how, like, you know, I'm this kind of person. I have a hard time stopping reading a book, even if I don't like it. I do this thing, I call it hate reading. I will hate read something. I'm so upset. I don't like it, but I can't just stop. It's like, I have such a hard time stopping in the middle. And he was talking about that. He was like, you know, you have to stop because you have a finite number of books you will read in your lifetime. And you don't think that. You're like, I have the rest of my life to read as many books as I want. But the reality is there's only a certain number of books. There's a certain number of books you will be able to read in your lifetime. And you're wasting time reading things you don't want to read. And I think that can fall into an even bigger conversation about, like, are you doing things that are a good use of your time? That's another talk for another day, but put a pin in that. We're gonna revisit that. Are you doing things that are a good use of your time? But anyway, so that was the bit about books, but then he was talking about time with your parents. This is very rambling, but I don't think you mind. But going back to what I was talking about, he was saying that, like, you know, as an adult, assuming you don't live in the same neighborhood, if you live out of state, or at least like a considerable distance from your parents, you probably go home on average, like if you average 3 times a year. You know, big holidays, you probably, if you're out of state, you're probably not going home Thanksgiving and Christmas, so maybe it's just one of those two. Maybe you go for a special birthday, something like that. But let's say you average 3 trips a year. That means you're seeing your parents like 3 times a year in person. And then he was like, this is the part that I was like, I don't want to make it sad, but if you do that morbid math of, like, considering their age, considering the average lifespan of someone, you know, how much time do you really have left? Considering their age and how much time they probably have left with us on average, assuming, you know, knock on everything, that they live an average lifespan, right? And then you multiply that by 3. There's a finite amount of time that we have left to spend with our parents. So call your parents, tell them you love them, you're grateful for them, you miss them. So anyway, thinking about that, if you haven't noticed, I'm very close with my family. I could cry right now thinking about the, like, gravity of that realization. Like, there's a very, like, finite amount of time, and it's another thing where it's like you feel like you'll see them forever. You feel like there's so many chances and opportunities, but there really aren't. So when I think about that, it's like, man, what a gift. That is the gift. Obviously, I wish she did not get sick, but that is the gift. I have spent so much time just, and it's the little moments, it's not just big celebrations, it's having breakfast together, talking over dinner, watching TV shows, doing these little walks, like, just having all of those little inconsequential moments that make up a life. That has been the gift that is buried underneath all of the other feelings and emotions tied into what's going on with my mom. And I wanted to share another example. I have also shared on this channel that earlier this year I got laid off, and the work that I was doing at that time was it's a complicated role, but the easiest way for me to explain it is I was essentially like an in-house counselor, kind of. That's how I would describe it, sort of like a counselor, coach. I would do a lot of the traditional HR things, but my, one sentence was, in a nutshell, my role was to help support employees to have the healthiest, happiest experience at work that they can. And that's a lot of helping people navigate conflict resolution, growth opportunities, different stresses they have at work, helping them navigate those things. I loved that job. I loved that work so much. I was so happy. I had I talked about this. I had an incredible team. It was such a dream. And I remember when I got it, I was like, I'm gonna do this forever. I love this job so much. And when I found out that I was gonna lose that job, I was devastated. That was such a blow. I felt like we were doing such important work and this and that, and I was so sad. But business needs change. That happens. It's so normal. It's not personal. It's, the business is always changing. These things happen. And at the time, I was so devastated. And I remember there's someone that I'm very close to at work who I look up to a lot, and she said something to me. She said, I am confident that this will work out better than you had ever imagined. And I remember at the time when she said that to me, I was like, that is so hard to hear. I don't want to hear that. That's the last thing I want to hear. I'm devastated. I'm dealing with this thing. I got stuff at home, and this is the last thing I needed. I can't. This is not gonna. How's this gonna work out? This is so stressful at a time when I don't need more stress. So, I remember she said that, and it was just I was so down. But my parents said something too. Immediately, I remember coming downstairs, and my parents were immediately, they were like, you'll be fine. We're not worried at all. We'll find something. So, at the time, I remember being, so upset about it. I may have talked about it on here. I filmed something, I remember I was, really upset, and then my better angels. Is that the word? Well, my fiance Rachel was like, don't post that. Don't do that. I'm so happy she told me not to. But as I have also shared, I did get a job. And I haven't fully processed what an incredible gift this job is. But what I realized recently, you know, I think I was talking with Rachel, but like, so I don't know if I've said explicitly what I'm doing, but I'm a full-time content creator for Best Friends Animal Society, which is, so it's the same employer. I've been there for a really long time. I love this organization. I love the work they do. If you don't know about Best Friends Animal Society, you should definitely check it out if you love animals. So I was able to secure an opportunity at the same organization that came up, and it could not have been better timing and all of that, but it's unreal because I was so devastated at the time, and then this opportunity came up. That is a great fit for my skill set and my experiences, because I do short form video stuff elsewhere. This doesn't count. Y'all are my ASMR buddies. So this is not what I'm talking about, but I do stuff. And I was thinking about the fact that, like, it's a dream, you know. Sorry, I was looking at my keyboard and looked when the keys was stuck, but I think that's just the angle. Like, content creation is a dream for, I think, a lot of people, and but I think when you get into something like that, you sort of, you understand that, like, at least in the beginning, you're kind of foregoing some of the traditional benefits of a workplace, something like a 401k, or, like, you know, insurance, other traditional benefits, things like that. I don't think a lot of people who are doing content creation have access to those things, and I was like, you know, by doing this, I get to do this really fun job where I'm creating videos, but I still get the benefits of a traditional employer of insurance and 401, etc., etc. Paid time off. And it's, like, so crazy to think about how devastated I was, because I loved that job so much, but now I get to do something completely different that I also love, you know? And that's the thing, like, humans are multifaceted. Like, we have so many dimensions and nuances to what our life can and could look like. And I was so ready to do this one thing, and this opened up a whole new world that I never dreamed was possible. And it is exactly what that one lady had said. It has worked out even better than I could have even imagined. That is exactly what happened. I can't believe that's my reality, you know? It's like, that's wild. And I'm so grateful, you know? I'm so grateful. I have another example I want to share with you. Because of all this, my fiance and I have been apart a lot this year. I mentioned, you know, I was here for, I think, all of March, most of March, if not all, most of March. And I came back end of April, and I've been here all of May. I don't know when I will go back. So that's like a long time to be apart from your partner. It's really, really hard on both of us. I left her, we have 5 pets. Between the 2 of us, we joke that we were like the Brady Bunch, you know, we combined households, so between the 2 of us we have 5 pets, which is always funny to me because if you tell someone you have 5 pets, they're like, oh my god, that's an unhealthy number of animals. Although not in my world. In animal welfare, like all of my friends, in animal welfare everyone has a ton of pets, so it's not weird for my world, but like for the normal world, if you tell someone you have 5 pets, they're like, whoa, you're a crazy animal person. But the thing is, like, I had 2, she had 3, so like neither of those are really that crazy. But when you combine households. So anyway, I left her with 5 pets, and I've been gone a long time. That is like really hard. That was a very, very long time to be apart from your partner. Long distance sucks. I used to be a big, I used to talk a lot about how I refused to date long distance because of how intolerable I find it. But here's the thing, because we're not together, we have made it a little bit of a routine ritual. I mentioned this too, where we talk every night for usually around an hour, and it has just been like a really sweet way to stay really connected. You know, it's the highlight of my day to spend that time with her and reconnect in that way. It's tough because of like the oh my god, time zones. I could not think of that word. Because of time zones, we have like a smaller portion of overlap, and I'm like working during the day, you know. But by doing this, by carving out this time in our days, we've had like the opportunity to really spend this like very intentional time together. Because that's the other thing, you know, sometimes when we're both home, like we don't spend intentional time together always. And we both commented recently, like, we both commented recently that like, in a weird way, somehow we feel closer. Somehow we feel even closer than we already did. Somehow we feel like this experience has bonded us even more, you know. It's like, we're even closer now for having gone through some challenging things together, you know? And that's a gift too, because sometimes I think it's the hard times that show you what the potential of your relationship is, you know, whether it's a romantic relationship or friendships, right? My friends have been incredible too. Like, I've been really absent in my friendships because I experience a lot of overwhelm, and people check on me, and they are so good and kind and give me so much grace. Like, I have been ignoring a lot of text messages and stuff because I just feel really overwhelmed, and you know, these are the types of times where you kind of learn and you see things, and it's good. It's all good. So yeah, I feel like this has actually brought us even closer. So anyway, I went into this thinking I was going to talk to y'all for like 10-15 minutes, because I was like, first of all, I don't know how long I can do hand sounds. I don't know how long I can do hand sounds before I will get very tired, but you know, my fingers do feel a tiny bit funny, but they're a little wobbly, but they're still working, they're still going. But my rambles, I ended up having a lot to tell you. I didn't know how much I would talk. Anyway, that's great. I love it if I actually get to make a longer video. So point is, there was a point earlier this year where I would joke when I was talking to a friend. I'd be like, my life feels like such a sob story, such a country song right now, being like, you know, my mom's super sick, I lost my job, I haven't seen my partner in like a month and a half. But it's wild for me to like really think about the gifts that have come out of each of these things that on the surface I think are challenging, hard things. And so I just wanted to share my experiences, and I hope that that encourages you and helps you think about how you can find the gifts in the hardest, most challenging times, because I don't think you can always see them at first. Sometimes it might take a long time. It might take a while for you to understand, but I do think that there are gifts in all of the hard things if you learn to look for them. Learn to look for the things that you can gain out of the hard moments in life. You know what's funny? I mean, this is not hand sounds, but that's okay. This sweatshirt is awful. It says Cali Life on it. It's so embarrassing, and what a terrible sweatshirt it is, but I did not pack to stay home for 2 months. I did not bring enough clothing. I do not have a ton of stuff still here, and this is something that I actually got. Oh my gosh, I talk so long, it went right over. This is something I got, like, I think when I first moved to California, like 10 years ago, and it was because I learned my lesson the hard way that California gets freaking cold at night. Growing up on the East Coast, I was like, I love summer where it's like it's warm out and you can still wear shorts and flip-flops at night, you're fine. I kind of thought that's what California was going to be, and then I was shocked that it was cold at night and I needed something, so I got this awful, embarrassing, touristy sweatshirt, and I guess I brought it back at some point because I was like, I can't wear this in real life. So it lives here in my parents' house. So, on that note about my tourist sweatshirt, I hope this inspires you to think and expand your vision, you know. If you're only looking at this much of the picture, try to expand and think about the bigger picture. Try to learn to train your brain to think about the gifts in the hardest moments, and I think you will find that I hope it will make things a whole lot more tolerable. So, okay, that's it for tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being you.